Casey Campbell. He's the host of the ARCA Racing podcast on YouTube. He also runs the Casey Campbell podcast as well. Casey, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Ben. Thanks for having me on, man.
Casey, what was your reaction to the crash? And what do you think can be done, if anything, to prevent such an incident from happening in the future? Or do you think that this was just one of those freak deals that nothing really could have been done?
Well, funny enough, I actually, before the show, I knew that when you invited me on, I did end up calling the folks at ARCA today and got their side of the story. They told me this is from ARCA PR director Charlie Crowe. Of course, we're going to record the show tomorrow. When the 12 car was stopped, when he tagged the wall first off, they didn't throw the caution because they felt, because, you know, we've seen it all the time. It was racing incidents and it just was there. Once the 12 and 15 had contact, you could hear in the booth, they immediately went to the tower and they flagged the TV truck and threw out the caution, the red flag. And of course that ended the race with, you know, time constraints and all that stuff, and battling rain overnight. Of course, rain hammered the Midwest Saturday night, which ultimately affected the race Sunday. That's the reason why it was delayed. And they had a concert at 5 p.m. Eastern time. They had a hard stop no matter what. They had to get out of there, and it's just it was just one of those freak deals. I mean, it's you know, I know everyone's been getting on, and I've seen a lot of comments on social media saying, "Oh, we need to change ARCA. We need to get rid of ARCA." I hate to break this to all you, but ARCA ain't going anywhere. So it's you know, it's the safety is the number one priority, and that was reassured to me today by the folks at ARCA. And I you know, they're going to learn from this. They've done everything that they needed to do. It's just one of those freak deals, man.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And I think, you know, in the moment, you would have to, you know, as you're watching the crash live, wonder how the closing rate was that much, and, you know, how quickly, you know, the 12 car came to a stop with a 15 and 20 battling. You would think that, you know, it had been stopped for a while, and there should have been better communication. Spotters should have been on the radio. There should have been a yellow flag put out or something like that. But when you watch the replay and see what happens,
going back to that, I just want to. They wanted me to say this as well. Immediately when they saw it come out, the thing is, it's like when you know in races where, you know, a car hits the wall and stuff and all that, and, you know, maybe it doesn't affect anything. Sometimes they don't throw the caution and see what happens. This was so-called one of those deals. Immediate when the 15 and the 12, and when dirt was kicked up, because I don't know how people couldn't see. I'll find out later in the week, because
sure.
You know, Buddy Kofoid, who did it, we'll have him on the channel later on in the week. So we'll see what all that entails. But I just they immediately went in there. They went on all the radio. The thing is, it's like the TV audience doesn't have access to all the technologies that that the teams do. Usually, obviously, we have access to the scanners, so we know what's going on in the Cup Series, the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and all that. But they immediately trigger from people that I've talked to. So
yeah. Well, and of course, you know, the knee-jerk reaction when you see it in the moment, I think, is quite a bit different than after you have a couple of times to watch the replay and get a more full picture of what's going on. And of course, obviously everybody of a track has that right away. Whereas, you know, when we're watching the race broadcast, we're zoomed in on the battle, and then you see this car out of nowhere that's stopped, and obviously the awful accident, and you wonder how could something like this have happened. But when you think of the context and, you know, the fact that you're on dirt as well, I don't know if that plays a role in how quickly the 12 came to a stop compared to, you know, maybe being on an asphalt track or something like that. There's so many variables that go into it. I think that once you consider everything, you know, we should always continue to strive to make improvements in safety and improve communication. But in this particular instance, it's difficult for me to see, you know, how much more could have been done. Everybody would have to been, you know, much quicker on the button to, you know, throw the yellow or be on the radio or anything. And just with how close the 20 and 15 were coming up, it's just unfortunate timing that it effectively ended the race and interfered with the battle for the win.